Salve to Discipuli, this is McEaster Buddy with the Stage 13 lesson on infinitives. Here are what the infinitives look like. We have 4 of them. There are 4 different conjugations. An infinitive will always end in a vowel plus an RE, and the 4 conjugations are decided by that thematic vowel. So first conjugation will have an accented A, second an accented E, third an E, and the fourth an accented E. These are not true verbs. They are the most generic form of a verb. They cannot stand alone in a sentence like a verb can. So we always translate them with the to form: to sing, to see, to run, to punish. And on that note, the infinitive is the second principal part. So now we have 3 principal parts. This is a true dictionary entry form for the verbs canto, cantare, cantavi. So the first principal part is the first person singular present active indicative. So I sing. This is our present active infinitive. To sing. Cantavi is the perfect active indicative. So I sung. It's very important that you start to memorize, if you haven't done so already, all 3 principal parts for every verb, because sometimes that will be tricky. For example, in the second conjugation, video, videra, vidi, the only difference between the first and the third, meaning between the present and the perfect, is this accented I here in the stem. And then we've got some odd ones. The third conjugation tends to be kind of an oddball. Kuro becomes kukuri. Punio becomes puniwi. Some of them are more predictable than others. Make sure you memorize them. All right. We also have some irregular verbs that are very important to memorize. They're kind of odd. That's why they're irregular, but they're very important to know because they are often followed by infinitives. We've got to want, wola, wis, wolt, wolumus, woltis, wolunt. At least we can see our personal endings, ost, mustis, nt, but there's some other odd stuff going on in here. To not want gets especially odd. Nolo, non vis, which is just taking non, the adverb not, and putting it in front of vis. So you want, you do not want. Same with the third person singular, non volt. He, she, it does not want. Nolumus, non voltis, and nolunt. Make sure you memorize this. And then the verb to be able or can, possum, potest, potest, possumus, potestis, possunt. If you look closely, you'll see sum, es, est, sumus, estis, sunt in there, which should look very familiar. And so this is always translated as am able or can, not want, and want. For example, loquax cantat. Loquax sings. Loquax wants to sing. The slaves see the master. The slaves do not want to see the master. The boys run. The boys are able to run quickly. Salvius punishes brigands. Salvius is able to punish brigands. All right, let's do some practice sentences. Go ahead and pause the video, copy down these 8 sentences, underline all your adjectives, draw arrows to their antecedents, put parentheses around all prep phrases, label anything that's remaining as a subject, a verb, a direct object, an indirect object, an adverb, or now we have a complementary infinitive. All right, let's do the first one. Ego is nominative, so that's our subject. We've got a complementary infinitive, and then our verb. So I am able to fight. Here we have our nominative subject. We have a complementary infinitive, an adverb, and our verb. We are not able to escape. Here we have our nominative subject, a complementary infinitive, an adverb, and our verb. You do not want to work. Here we have an adjective, optimum. It's modifying canon because they're both accusative, they're both singular, they're both feminine. Coquus, nominative subject, accusative direct object, complementary infinitive, and verb. The cook is able to prepare the best dinner. Here we have an adverb, a complementary infinitive, and a verb. There's no nominative here telling us what the subject is. However, we can look at the ending here, tis, and know that you all is the subject. So you all are able to run quickly. Here we have a prep phrase, so we're going to separate that. Then we have a complementary infinitive. We have our verb, again, no nominative, but the ending tells us that our subject is I. So I do not want to stay in the house. Here we have a complementary infinitive. We have our verb, again, no nominative, but the NT tells us that the subject is they. So they do not want to work. Here we have an accusative direct object, a complementary infinitive, a verb, again, no nominative subject, but the most tells us that the subject is we. So we want to drink wine. All right, discipuli, remember infinitives are the second principal part. Infinitives indicate the verb's conjugation. They are not standalone verbs. A complementary infinitive completes the idea of the main verb. Wale to discipuli.